Controversial punk duo Bob Vylan have lashed out on social media today after experiencing dire repercussions from their appalling anti-Semitic display at Glastonbury Music Festival.
Free, free! Free, free! Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death, death to the IDF! 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 To the IDF! Hell yeah, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be, will be, inshallah.
Following the downright offensive set, the duo found themselves in a world of trouble across 2 continents, with the US government cancelling their visa, leading to the cancellation of their tour later this year. They were also dropped by their management and now are facing an investigation by UK police. But all of that has only strengthened Bob Vylan's resolve, posting this response to social media. They said, "Today a good many people would have you believe a punk band is the #1 threat to world peace. Last week it was a Palestine pressure group. The week before that it was another band. We are not for the death of Jews, Arabs or any other race or group of people. We are for the dismantling of a violent military machine. A machine whose own soldiers were told to use unnecessary lethal force against innocent civilians waiting for aid. A machine that has destroyed much of Gaza. We, like those in the spotlight before us, are not the story. We are the distraction from the story, and whatever sanctions we receive will be a distraction." The more time they talk about Bob Vylan, the less time they spend answering for their criminal inaction. We are being targeted for speaking up. We are not the first, we will not be the last. And if you care for the sanctity of human life and freedom of speech, we urge you to speak up too. Free Palestine. The lead singer doubled down on his lack of care for the situation he's in, posting a bizarre picture to Instagram, captioned, "While Zionists are crying on socials, I've just had late night vegan ice cream." But it seems Bob Vylan should start taking the saga a little more seriously, as it's now become a police investigation. But online commentators aren't convinced, with this person saying, "This is the UK's way of trying to look good, but history has proven this will end with no charges, no punishment, and again caving when accused of Islamophobia." Reform UK Mayor for Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins, says Bob Vylan needs to be treated exactly the same way as other outspoken entertainers. Otherwise, there is proof of a 2-tier justice.
Vylan, literally, they are inciting violence. And I think if the police don't arrest and treat them the same way as Lucy Connolly and all the other political prisoners, then they should let Lucy Connolly and the other political prisoners out and give them compensation, because this is evidence that we've got a 2-tier justice system. So, yeah.
Indeed, I agree. But
the BBC, who were also slammed for allowing the broadcast to go ahead, were quick to act, apologising for not pulling the stream and condemned Bob Vylan for their rhetoric.
Let me turn now to the role of the BBC. On Saturday afternoon, just after the broadcast, I called the Director General to ask for an explanation and what immediate steps the BBC leadership intended to take. As the Prime Minister said yesterday, it is essential that the BBC explains how these scenes came to be broadcast. The BBC has rightly apologised and took the immediate decision not to put this content on iPlayer. I welcome that. However, key outstanding questions remain, including why this performance was broadcast live, given the concerns regarding other acts in the weeks preceding the festival, why the feed wasn't immediately cut when the chants of death to the IDF began, and what due diligence was done prior to the decision to broadcast this particular act to the nation.
But despite their attempt to right their wrongs, the BBC is still being slammed in the media with calls for their Director General to resign.
But the story is that he was approached and said, look, they've just shouted death, death to the IDF. And he said to carry on screening them, carry on live streaming them. So now not only are there calls for David to be sacked, but also that he too should be investigated for effectively encouraging blatant law breaking. He's done nothing but stagger from one hapless crisis to the next. So, should this guy Tim Davie finally be sacked, be fired over this one?